everybody, happy Monday. This is Overpass Live. I'm Eric. I make apps. This is the weekly live stream where we just hang out and talk about whatever we talk about. You know, once upon a time, I used to do a video every single day, and then those kind of trailed off because I could only talk about AdMob for so long. But now we still have this weekly get together where we just hang out and talk about, you know, whatever. So this week has been a busy week for me, just doing a bunch of client stuff. I'm going to go into this in a bit because I have a rant. There is a rant. I have a rant chambered. Is that right? Is that a good term? I have in my chamber. I have a rant that I'm ready to go on about developer stuff. But anyway, I hope you guys have a really good week. Thanks for joining the live stream this week. Let's see. So I was looking at the comments before we started. We got Joni Grossens. Hopefully I pronounced that right, Joni. Joni. Looking forward to the weekly live stream, Eric. Mostly I'm not able to watch it live because I'm at work, but I hope today I'll be able to watch it live. Hey, work's a good thing. Question. I ranked number 4th the popular keyword, which I was not using in my title. So I decided to change my title, and suddenly ranking the keyword was dropped to 8. This is on Google Play. Wow. But yeah, 4th is awesome. And then 8th is good, depending on what the keyword was. But if that's what you're going through. So I changed it back to the old title, and the ranking increased to 4. So do you have any idea why? Did I use a keyword too many times, as I already used this keyword a few times in the description? You know what, Johnny, it has nothing to do with the number of times you use your keyword. If that was the case, then we'd all just have to keep saying the same keyword over and over and over again. It has a lot to do. There's a lot of different factors at play, which is like you got the backlinks that go in, you've got the reviews that people mention it. You got lots of different things that are at play there, and then also you got the re-indexing and everything like that. And the algorithm is always changing all the time. I mean, I start to wonder about. Do you remember when like with social media platforms, Google as well? You know, when the machine algorithm starts taking over, and then it starts doing things that we can't quite anticipate what it's doing, then we're really guessing. And we were kind of guessing before with the algorithm, like what's it doing. And sometimes the engineers will tell us, they'll say, well, you should use this this keyword in links to the Play Store, because that will help increase the rankings, everything like that. But you know, now we're getting to the point where it's getting so saturated and so crowded that it's really difficult to tell. This is why you always have to test, which is great what you've been doing. So you had something that was working, and if you have a keyword that's not working as well as you hoped it would, you know, always try different ones, because it is going to be based on that. I mean, you talk about what a machine algorithm can actually, you know, feed off of. It could go like how many downloads you've had, how many reviews you've had, how many links you have going, you know, from externally to it on the Google Play side anyway. And everything like that. Now that's more on the Google Play side, which is, you know, really difficult. And I mean, it's not really difficult. It just kind of is what it is. It's like getting there and getting people into it, which is why you know, increasingly advertising has to be, you know, a consideration. Just even if you don't make a lot of money from it, even if you're just doing something in low-cost countries where you don't have to pay all that much for the click-throughs, then that's something that you just need to get people to see it and download it and review it and get some positive feedback and get the snowball effect going. And a lot of the applications that go out there, and they just languish. They just sit there. So you need to find some way to. And it used to be like we could rely on search, or just even like a lot of developers at the beginning weren't even relying on search. They were just relying on. I'm sorry, you guys hear me? Let me make sure you guys can hear me for it. So a lot of them were just relying on, you know, just being found, like, you know, just going to put it out there and it's going to find it. But now it's something we have to think about all the time. So, Joni, I think it's great what you're doing. I wish I could tell you exactly why that's happened. I can make some guesses, but, you know, really I wouldn't. Like, I can make some guesses and sound like I'm smart, like I would know, but I really wouldn't. I mean, the one thing you have to do is constantly test and constantly be looking at those rankings, which is great that you're doing that. You know, it's always being, you know where you are in your ranking. So that's really cool. Mega Man is second. Hey, Mega Man, how's it going? Have you seen the Log4j vulnerability? I haven't seen. All I've done is heard about it on the. I got an email from Cloudflare. I use Cloudflare for my, CDN on the website and everything like that. So I got an email from that, but I haven't really been, like, when it comes to security, I shouldn't tell you guys this. When it comes to security vulnerabilities, I wish I could say that I was like always on top of it, but I'm always like, I think, when it comes to the languages that I'm aware of, it's, or the languages that I actually know. It's kind of like, as a developer, you kind of have to know what the security vulnerabilities are. But like on my website and stuff like that, the HTTP stuff, I haven't really been doing it. So I don't know very much about it. As an app developer, Mega Man, is it something I should be like concerned with? I mean, is it something that's entirely web-based? Solanto Apps is here. Was that a wave? Oh, that's a wave. Hey. Great. I've had a great day today. I've been like, you have one of those coding days where everything just starts working and you're like, okay, let me do this. Just bam, bam, bam. And so like, I've just been like reclusive here, just, sitting at my desk, like tune the world out because I was able to just get like loads of stuff done. And it's just stuff like starting a new app. I'll go into this in a little bit, but let's see. Dev Teacher, good evening, folks. Shurjan Lukic. Hey, nice. You got a new name. Julio Cruz. Hey, Eric, I want to start streaming in YouTube. Do you have any advice in terms of software and tools to use? Thanks. When I started with OBC. I can't remember. I think that's what it's called. There's like a popular one that everybody uses. I can't remember. I think it's OBC. Correct me if I'm wrong about that. But so you could do a lot of it with that. I mean, there was like, it had trouble because it was open source and it's free, which is great. I had trouble keeping up with some like the Mac updates and stuff like that. But right now I'm using, I use Ecamm Live, which is okay. I notice a lot of people are using StreamYard, and I thought about switching over, but then it's like, it's that shiny object syndrome where I'm just like, I'm used to using this because it used to be I wasn't able to show like the questions on the screen at the same time. That's one of the nice things that Ecamm has, and switching scenes and stuff like that. Although OBS has screen switching too, but just being able to do all that kind of stuff, it just, it's a good tool. It works pretty well, and a lot of the stuff, I've just been using. So Julio, I highly encourage you to do it. Or if you're not doing YouTube videos at all, I mean, I encourage everybody to do it because it's so much fun. You get to meet more people, and you get to get stuff off your chest, like this developer I hired. But we'll go through into that later. Surf Topics, cheerio, mate. Hey, Surf Topics, how's it going? Let's see. Defty said OBS works great for streaming. Yeah, I mean, it worked really well for me. There's a lot of good tutorials on how to like customize it the way you want to. I'm paying like for Ecamm Live, I'm paying like $30 a month or something like that, and I can't really genuinely tell you what I get other than putting the text on the screen. I think what I could do, and I was doing earlier was like, simultaneously streaming it to Twitter and Facebook also, but that was just a pain. Like nobody ever watches on Facebook. So it was like, YouTube is where most of you guys have found me on YouTube. So it's easier just to do it here. But let's see. That's what I've heard. Yep. Okay. So, Mr. Noob. Hey, Mr. Noob. So what framework do you use for web development? I started learning Vue.js and it's great so far. I'm still an Angular guy. I still like to do stuff on Angular. But I try not to do web so much. I talked about this for weeks and weeks. I was like, I want to get into doing Flutter, just using Flutter web. I like the idea of using one language for everything, but Flutter web just seemed to be like, it's just, to me, it seems a pain, like just getting everything set up and everything like that. Every time I start doing it, even just doing like a table view was just a pain. So I'm not doing that too much. If I'm doing anything, I'll just use Angular, but that's because I'm not that interested in doing web stuff anymore. I'm still jQuery. Like what I'm comfortable with is like a nice, just put jQuery in there and just manipulate the DOM that way. That's what I like. The whole frameworks thing is great and everything, but I don't know. Sometimes you just like to go back to the old days. I have looked at Vue.js and I've looked at React, like web React, and and they're okay. I also Blazor is something I've been looking into because I've been doing a lot of Xamarin and .NET stuff, and I'm starting to think, man, maybe I'll just start doing stuff in Blazor. But then we just get this bit where you're having some certain things aren't supported really well with it, but I kind of it seems like web development is getting easier and harder at the same time. Like it's getting easier in terms of you don't have to worry about the cross browser compatibility as much as you used to have to. And when it comes to like but at the same time you have to learn all these different frameworks and stuff like that. Like if I wanted to do like a React application, I have to like really just get in there and start from scratch, like I'm learning a new language, even though it is still the results are still HTML, JavaScript, and whatever. But so yeah, I'm still Angular. Fred Wroolie, I've heard of you. I've met you before. OBS. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Dev teachers, the moment when Eric reads the next comment and sees all the OBS names here. Oh yeah, OBS. Let's see. Thanks, Eric. It's good to know. I'll check out Ecamm Live. Yeah, Ecamm Live is like, I don't know. Sometimes you get something because you don't really need it, but you're thinking you should. Like Ecamm Live is like, it's like getting Lycra as a biker, right? Like you get your bike out once in a while, you get excited about riding your bike, and then you're thinking, I need Lycra. I need some bike shorts, right? You don't need bike shorts. You're just kind of excited about it and you want to do it. That's kind of what Ecamm Live was like for me. Like that's what a lot of stuff, like you get a new camera or something like that. I'm really excited about doing YouTube videos. You know what I need? I need a new camera. And then you got to get a new camera and find out that it doesn't really benefit you as much as anything else, which is why when a lot of people on YouTube get upset when everyone asks about what kind of equipment they use. Am I talking too fast? When a lot of people on YouTube get upset about asking what kind of equipment they use, because we know that a lot of the stuff that we get is kind of like, it doesn't really help that much. Like I've got a ring light. Dude, man, if you get me with a couple glasses of wine on Amazon, I will go off and buy loads of irrelevant stuff that I don't need. And Ecamm Live is kind of like that. Having the text on the screen does help, just because I don't go in, because I don't have a topic. I don't have anything to go in. We just go in and just, hang out. But so that's kind of the benefit of it. And there's a few other things, okay, here's something in my field of vision, which if I get it, you're going to know that I went too far. One of the things is a drone, right? Like for a while I was thinking, you know what I need? I need a drone for when I do my videos to have the drone footage. Like, dude, Eric, you do not need a drone. Sometimes, in the cold, harsh light of day, that's what you do. Also, a switcher board, so you can switch like the stuff on Ecamm Live and all this stuff. Thinking, maybe I need one of those switcher button boards, right? No, you don't, right? We don't have that many people here. What do we got? We got 14 people here. I don't need a switcher, but sometimes that kind of stuff. So when I say Ecamm Live, remember, it's like bike shorts, right? It's not going to speed up your performance any. The one thing does like 99.999% of everything, and then this might give you like 0.001% like improvement. That one's free. This one costs $30 a month, right? So go with OBS and try it out. Don't let it lead to analysis paralysis, or anything like that by finding the right tool. You could download it today. You could stream today. You could compete with me right now on this stream, right? We could go head to head. Let's do it. Let's see. Patrick says, I wanted to use Flutter Web, but the client JS libraries are still multiple megabytes minimized. Yeah, I mean, that's something so this is like one of the things. So a couple weeks ago, and it's good to see you, Patrick. So a few weeks ago, actually like 2 months ago, I hired a new developer. And I thought, okay, I've had this project that I've been trying to get done for ages. And I thought, I found a Flutter developer. He seemed to be really good. He had really good experience behind him and everything like that. And I thought, okay, well, but he was expensive. For me, he was expensive. So I won't tell you how much he cost, but to me, it was like quite a lot. So I hired him, and we did a 2-week trial. I always start with a 2-week trial. And he was like, he was good. I was like, oh, thank God, man, we could actually do this. And I thought, what I'll do is I could work on all the client stuff and the contract work while he builds this app for us. So we finally get like an Overpass project out there because I'm just too busy keeping the bills paid and everything like that, and keeping everybody, good. And so for the first 2 weeks, he was fine. Next 2 weeks, not, kind of the production seemed to slow, but it's like, okay, he's going to demo what he's done. And, that the day of the demo, he needs a few more days. That's fine. I'm a developer. I understand sometimes things don't work so well. And then on the day of the demo, so it was like the following week, he's got a fever, so he can't do it. And I thought, well, I hate to be the kind of guy who, whatever. But if you call in sick from working from home, it's like, okay, well, that must be bad. Just check in your code. I said, just check in your code. Push your code into Git. And then, I'm too sick to sit at the computer. So a week later, it pushes the code to Git, and I see that all the commits, because he says he was committing them to another repository, but he went committed to my repository, which he should have been doing the whole time. But he said problems with the login or whatever. When he pushed them, then I could see like all the commits were like that day, like because it takes the commits and the history of the commits and pushes them to wherever. So I thought, okay, well, so I said, okay, well, I need you to, this is not working out. Just give me another chance. So I give him another chance, and then nothing. So just all I did was pay a few £1,000s to get nothing. So I have a bunch of code that I can't use, and that's one of the things which is like, it seems to be, it gets very frustrating. It's very frustrating trying to hire somebody who you can depend on. And I know every time I say that, somebody say like, oh, you can depend on me. But it's difficult when you're doing iOS development, because you need somebody with a Mac. You need somebody who can understand how to deploy something. You need somebody like all that kind of stuff. And so sometimes, like I've hired developers who are only Windows based, and they would get everything that works fine in Android, and then I have to figure out why it's not working in iOS. So that, it just added more stuff to my plate. So finally what I did was I let him go on Friday, and I'm not going to say his name, but I'm kind of annoyed. I'm annoyed. So normally I wouldn't talk about it. But I let him go on Friday, and then like this weekend, I just been working on myself, starting from scratch. And I was doing it in Flutter, and I thought, okay, I don't have time for this. So like I just moved over to Xamarin with Firebase backend. And I've just been working on it like all weekend. And I just kind of these things where I should have just done it myself to begin with. But it's difficult. Like for those of you guys who are software developers and have been doing it a long time, it's difficult to hire somebody because you know how easy this stuff is or how difficult it is or whatever. So but you know what progress looks like. You know on a day where you're not giving it your full, and there's days where you are just banging your head against the wall because something should be working but isn't working. I've had this happen quite a lot, where I've had a crash on a certain type of Android, and I'm like, I spent the entire day trying to figure out what it is. I'm like, and there's no documentation, and the crash logs are kind of not very specific. They're not very specific, but they're also the stack traces are giving you anything that's really concrete. Like there's nothing pointing to a line of code you have. Everything is kind of inside the framework. So you're trying to, Googling all that, trying to figure out what it was. And there's times where you could go like a day or two just trying to fix a bug. And it is like, I haven't moved the ball forward. The difference between me actually not working the last 2 days and me working the last 2 days is exactly the same because the thing isn't solved. But it's always that thing where even though you got to try 10 million things in order to get that one solution, sometimes you just do that. So like, as a developer, when you hire somebody, you kind of know that's the case. So you're trying to be like understanding in some ways, but at the same time trying to be like, are you really doing what you need to? Is there something you don't understand? Is there something you not see what's going on? And it's just been it was a difficult few weeks, but I'm really enjoying working on the app now. But sometimes. So anyway, when it comes to Flutter Web, I was thinking about that too, because we're gonna have it Flutter with Flutter Web and everything like that too. And I was like working on it. It was like none of his code was working. I'm thinking, do I just start from scratch? At least I can kind of get his code working. It wasn't, And I was thinking, do I start from scratch or do I just, So in the end, I just started from scratch on another framework. But let's see. And Kang says, do you face the iOS jank issues with Flutter? Not really. I mean, most of the applications I've done, I have not seen that jank issue. I mean, I've very rarely seen that jank issue. I've seen the stuff like Tech Lead did the videos about it months ago, and it's one of those things where, you know, there's so many Flutter developers, and it's a really good, like, the thing that I really do like about Flutter, that I love about Flutter, is the fluid interface, the way that you can pretty much do anything in it. Like, you're not restricted by the confines of what a certain control does, because you can inherit all those controls, and you got all that flexibility there, and you also got that really quick hot reload and everything like that. And I haven't really seen a whole lot of issues with the jank, but I don't have a whole lot of, I never do a whole lot with animations aside, you know, the drawer coming out. I mean, that might have a little bit of issues, but I've never witnessed it myself. You know, I think it's one of those things which is like, it's really overrated. It's like, again, we go back to the Lycra shorts, like, or whatever. Like when somebody says, the thing about avocado is it's got a lot of fat in it. I was like, well, yeah, but you know, I was eating chocolate before, so like I'm better. Like, it's like you're looking at one little thing that happens very rarely, and you're discrediting the whole platform, or are you actually, is it really a serious issue? I've read some of the forum comments where they see people saying, I'm about to get fired over this janking issue, which I think that's crazy. I mean, and maybe I just haven't seen it. I mean, let me know, Kong, have you seen this janking issue? Like, how much of an issue has it been for you? Because I have not really. I mean, I don't doubt that it's there, but it doesn't seem to be like always there. Let's see. Alvaro. Hey, Alvaro, how's it going? Hi, Eric. Hello, Alvaro. According to your experience, would you choose native technology, Swift, Kotlin, or hybrid, Flutter, React Native, etc., to develop an app? What does it depend on choosing of the two? If it's something where I know it's only going to be one platform, and even, yeah, okay, so if I know it's only going to be Android, then maybe just best go native. If I think it's going to be something where I need a high frame rate or something like that. Here's an example of, I've recently done one where I was given two bits of code, Android and an iPhone. It was done in Objective-C. Objective C. Oh, yeah, and the other one was done in Kotlin. Kotlin looked great, by the way. But there were bugs on both of them, and so it was like, I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at what they need to do, which they do need a high frame rate. They need to do, communicating with the device over UDP, listening to UDP packets, and so basically I took that and moved that module into Xamarin Forms, just because then we only had one code base. It made testing, a lot easier. It made the workflow a lot easier. The problem before was they had two different developers go off and do the two different things. So if you're looking at from the outside, they looked similar enough, but underneath the code was entirely different. Like, it was kind of thing where I'm saying, well, Android does this and iPhone does this, and the client didn't even know that because they, through testing, they weren't able to see anything at that level. It's like, this one does something different than this one. And so, yeah, they were supposed to be working together and all this stuff. But so a lot of the time, just having that thing going in one place. I think if you can, you always go cross-platform. Now, when it comes to Flutter, React Native, etc., the downside is every so often you'll get like a bug or something because the operating system is upgraded. Like, say 15.1, iOS 15.1 just came out, and for some reason something's not working on it. Now, most of it, that's never really affects things that are already out there on production because they've already been compiled. It's mostly to do with your development environment. So there's a lot of times that will be an issue. I mean, and it could be a real nasty issue, but I know people will disagree with me on this, especially native developers who think it's not that hard to learn two different languages. But I think it's the benefits of having one code base, which you can just do everything with, and you have like full testability of it, is much more beneficial than. The benefits of that is huge. It halves your development time. You get you could get good at that one language and have it go to play both both places. The thing is, you also have to know a little bit about how Kotlin and Swift work anyway, because sometimes you have to write some deep down code, or even if you're using something like a framework like NativeScript or Xamarin, using C# Xamarin libraries, you still have to be able to look at the code examples in Swift and know how to translate those into Xamarin, which is not as hard as it might sound. But like, that's my preference. Let me know. What about the rest of you guys? What do you guys think? About like, which would you choose? I mean, I'm definitely on the line of saying, if for me, the objective is to get it done. Like, and for most of the frameworks now, you could find code like plugins or whatever that will do whatever you want them to do. So, Pat says, I'm experimenting with Blazor now. Kind of neat, but weirdly maintains a WebSocket connection, burning down the host bandwidth of thousands of connections plus 10,000 max simultaneous on Linode. See, what I was using, I was trying to use the Blazor WebAssembly, and I was trying to use Blazor WebAssembly with Firebase, with a Firebase backend, and I got it working. This was a few months ago. Actually, that was at the beginning of the year. This is at the beginning. This has been a really short year. And what I was trying to do is basically I had this app in with the Firebase backend, and it was Flutter Firebase backend, but the admin site, normally what I'll use an admin site is Angular, but I hate working with Angular. I mean, even though I just said Angular is my thing, but like I just wanted whatever. And I had trouble with like, just getting all the observables and everything working. So I thought Blazor, at least that's like the language I use for most things. And part of it just felt nice, just being able to use C# and do the WebAssembly. But everything I wanted to do with Firebase, I had to use a JavaScript bridge, which kind of got messy. I mean, I kind of got it working, and then I gave it to another developer, and he went off and created a whole bunch of like other. It was just, in the end, we kind of just dropped it just for that. But I keep going back to it because I think that, I like just being able to put something out there and it just works, and then you have that clean code. And what I don't like, one of the reasons why I was never into TypeScript or CoffeeScript or whatever type of thing that transpiles, is because I kind of like just using like natural JavaScript and HTML, like, rather than all this other stuff that's coming out. But because I'm old. Oh, back in my day, we can go to the movies and stay in a hotel overnight for $3. Hey Matthew, how's it going? Theo said, patiently waiting for Aaron's rant while in the house. That's just, it was a developer thing. It was like, just, oh my God, like, like it wasn't like, it's kind of thing where you're realizing you're spending a lot on a developer, and you're not sure if they're doing anything, and you're just like, okay, he might be the guy. There were certain things that just sort of, there were certain things that didn't sit right with me in terms of, we always do the daily summary. You're putting things in the daily summary, like admins can set up this entity or whatever. And I go, well, can you show me how that works? And it's like, he just uses the Firebase console. It's like, well, that's not a functionality. You just basically put something into Firestore, like manually using the Firebase console. And it was just kind of the thing where it was like, padding out the daily summaries. And that's one of the things, for those of you guys who are developers, you're working for a client, or if you're working based on time and material. Okay? If you're working based on the project specs, it doesn't matter. Like if it takes you 10 hours, it takes you 20 hours, it doesn't matter. Like, the client's paying you on a fixed price, right? Or they're paying you for what you're doing. If you're doing something where it's based on time and material, and they're paying you based on your time, then you have to be diligent about that kind of stuff. Like, you have to be, this time is set aside for this client. Like, I've got certain days that are set aside for certain clients, which I just, that day is dedicated to their project. It can't be like, and so a lot of times I just go quiet to the rest of the world, because they're paying for my time, and I have to dedicate my time to them. At the same time, you feel like you have to push the ball forward, and you have to show progress each and every single day, especially when you work from home or you work remotely. You can't be that kind of guy who's like, today I did researching such and such. I did researching this. It's like, that's not a task. That's not a thing. But that's my rant. Maybe it's not as bad. For starters, which one is more difficult, getting views on YouTube videos or users for an app? I think getting... Oh, good question. I think it's probably about the same. Because YouTube videos, you put something out there, you have to find people who are going to find it and like it, and leave comments and all that kind of stuff. And for an app, it's the same kind of thing. One of the things that is, for YouTube videos, where it's a lot more, it feels a lot more natural to ask for comments and subscriptions and stuff like that than it does on an app. Like the app always feels like pop up, nope, pop up. Hey, do you like any app? You want to? Nope. And I never always like close those windows. It's just that thing that pops up kind of like and we all kind of need that. We need to be asking for it, but it's annoying when we get it. So I think it's probably harder to get users for an app. However, one thing you can do with the app is you can have them you can have the share functionality and get them to share with other people and stuff like that. It's a lot more. I guess they could share a video, but if I were to say on one of the videos, hey, share this with your friends, would you? I wouldn't. Who would I share it with? So let's see. Rohit. Hey, Rohit, how's it going? Hey, Eric, have you booked your tickets to the Spider-Man movie? I have, and my birthday is also coming on the 18th. Very excited. I have to do that tonight. I want to go see. I mean, what? There's a Spider-Man movie coming out? Nerds. No, dude, I so am. I'm going to I want to go see it Wednesday night. It comes out here on Wednesday on the 15th. I'm going to be out on a few days this week, so I'm like, I want to go see it before there's any spoilers. So yeah, I'm definitely going to book it. I was, I've talked about this before. I was like in high school, I was collected comic books. I still in my storage, I still got a box. A lot of the boxes have gone missing, but all the, I've got the cardboard backings and the plastic sleeves. I can't remember what they're called. Poly something sleeves. And I used to have the Dark Knight first edition, the whole set, the first edition, and those went missing on the many moves, but I do still in the garage. I have the first 20 issues of X Factor. I've got Spider-Man number 252, which is the introduction of the black suit, the alien suit, which became Venom. And I did. Sorry, this is all right. Talking about geeking out a little bit here, and I used to have all the Secret Wars, but I don't anymore. So I do enjoy all the Marvel movies and everything like that, and we do like keeping up with Hawkeye and everything like that. I feel a bit of fatigue from it, and it is kind of a thing where like when you're a teenager and you have this small group of friends that are into what you're into, but most aren't, and you're kind of like this subset of your little nerd culture in the 80s, and it was and now it's kind of like everybody likes this stuff, and you're like, but there's got that, but that used to be, just for us. But when you get aside from that, I could be one of those guys who does a YouTube channel. Technically in issue number, in Green Lantern number 75, the real, Sinestro did this. But yeah, no, I definitely want to go see it, Rohit. Let's see. Julia Julio says, not trying to compete, just want to stream video games. You should. Let's see. Shror 9099. So how much Java is needed for Android development? I'd say I'm not sure. I'm not sure the term of measurement we're talking about here. I think you need to be able to, to build an application. It's not like you go out and it's not like you go out and learn Java and then you could do Android. Like it's not like you go out and do this thing and then you go to Android. You start doing the development and you could do that. You could go out and think, I'm going to learn a whole bunch of Java and then I'm going to come to see how it applies to Android development. Or you just start in the Android development and kind of work your way through. Start with a Hello World program, build your way out there. Think about if you were going to create music, right? You could either say, I'm going to go out and learn the basics of creating music, or I'm going to learn how to play chords and all this kind of stuff, and then I'm going to sit down and try to play a song. Or you can say, I'm going to try to play this song and see how far I get, and then I'm going to keep going back to that source material and doing this two things at the same time, because then that way you get the real world application to it, which is how not like most of what I've done is like, you know, trying to get through like, how can I do this? Now, I always say that you should read a book or take a course or whatever, rather than just say, how do you connect to a database? How do you render a dropdown? How do you do this? Because then you get this kind of, you don't get like a cohesive thing, which is like how everything should fit together. This is why like a lot of applications out there that I've seen, they don't have like error handling. They have like an empty catch block, right? So something just fails silently because they're like, you know, because error handling is boring and logging is boring and whatever. But creating an interface is exciting, and doing backend stuff is could be exciting or boring depending on how you look at it. But like, so sometimes you just need to have that full, you know, A to Z, you know, so you at least know what unit testing is. You at least know what, you know, proper error handling. Even if you're not doing it like as much as you should, you need to know how all that stuff works. Whereas if you're just, you know, picking and choosing what you want to do, then it doesn't quite work. But I do think there's a lot of that too, just getting in there and playing with it. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if that, let's see. Google Ads videos on YouTube eliminate Jank. Usually a structural issue in the widget or a debug build. Oh, okay. What is Jank? Jank is a in Green Lantern number 76. He was the bad guy. I don't know. Oh wait. Let's see. Thandavan says, "Sar, I am foot Duluvar app lan." I agree completely. Let's see. Mr. Noob says, "Eric, do you plan to explore platforms beyond web and app development like VR, AR, etc.?" You know what? I haven't really planned on doing anything like that. And but I'm always curious, like especially the AR stuff. Not so much VR, because when it comes to, like, I've never been like a Unity developer, which I would imagine you'd have to do, because you have to, like, with AR, I guess, and with VR, you have that 3D way of thinking. And I'm still like, you know, make it like, in terms of doing games, you know, everything I've done has been 2D. Like it's just been, you know, sprite sheets and you know, and sprite sheets and, you know, game loops and stuff like that. And when it comes to actually the 3D objects and moving through a world, you know, that's something I don't have a lot of experience with, and it's so I haven't really looked into it. And it looks like it'd be something that'd be something to be difficult to do. Thanks for all the thumbs up, guys, by the way. King says, "Thanks, Patrick. I'll have a look at the videos. Actually, I'm having a jank issue with the splash screen. Only a few widgets and one Lottie animation." Oh, you're using Lottie. It's a production iOS build. Oh, so it's not happening on dev, only in production. I think I just got my first review on the iOS version of my app. It was a 5-star. Congratulations. And between iOS and Android, I have 8 paid subscriptions to my app. Cool. That's good. You're working your way. You're working your way up there. That's awesome. Love to hear more about your mobile business. Okay, so Chaplain Andrew Kuslik. How do I add AI to my app? Yeah, and then Matthew says there's multiple kinds of AI. Yeah, there are like you have the ML kit in Firebase, which I've not used. Yeah, there's multiple types of AI. I mean, you could say that you could use Dialogflow or something like that, which would have a lot of that, you know, the voice recognition stuff in it, which we've done in a few applications. Yeah, it's very, very generic. It depends on what it is you're trying to do. Like, because I've thought about that too. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to have AI in your app, but there has to be some situation it's trying to solve, right? Like if you drew an object and it's trying to guess what the object is, use image recognition, or is it something where, you know, it's trying to, you know, it's a banking application, it's trying to detect fraud. You know, there's lots of different ways that could go in there. But Spaghetti Dude just stopped by to say hi. Hey, Spaghetti Dude. let's see. Rohit says, yes, it's so frustrating to see all the spoilers everywhere soon after a Marvel movie is released. To avoid getting spoilers, you have to see it on the first day itself. I know. That's it. Because I know as soon as I open up YouTube on that first day, there's going to be some thumbnail that gives up everything. And and all the rumors and stuff about whether or not there's going to be the other actors in there, or who's going to be in it, whatever. It's like, yeah, I don't want to miss that. That was like Marvel did such a good job, like with Endgame, making sure that okay, don't tell anybody what the movie's about, don't release any spoilers, whatever. And it's like it's not like I don't mistrust the people around me or the people I talk to, because I think they would like not reveal the spoilers. What I do mistrust is YouTubers who are trying to get views, and they're the ones who are going to try to spoil everything on the first day. And So Matthew says, seriously, what is a jank? A jank is like something like it's like a judder. It's like something that moves, but it doesn't quite move the way that it should. It should be a fluid movement. So it's like it's janky. I looked it up and there are multiple definitions. Yeah. So it's just like a jank. It's something that it should be fluid, but it isn't. It's Chaplain goes, I'm trying to get users to pages of my app, like OK Google, to open play buttons page of a podcast portal. Yeah, that gets difficult. Like to actually have the trigger word from the application when it's closed is difficult. We tried doing that. I mean, when you got stuff like Siri and Siri, Alexa, and hey, and OK Google. You have all that kind of stuff, like which is constantly listening for that kind of stuff, but your application isn't. So it's going to be running in the background somewhere, or it's going to be entirely closed. However, when it does open, you can use something like Dialogflow and use those things in there. You've also got the Lex stuff on the Amazon side, but I found Dialogflow to work really well. I did a video on it a few years ago where you could just go through and start plugging that stuff in using the Dialogflow console, and I've actually used it for a few we were doing some proposals for some projects, and I did those, and you could set up something through Dialogflow really easy. It uses the machine learning of that platform, so you don't have to think about recognizing all that kind of stuff, because a lot of that stuff is in there. And you could have say if you have a command, like let's say go to the home page, you could put lots of things in there, like go to home page, or open home page, whatever. You can have all these different things in there, and then if it understands that, it'll go straight through. So using something like Dialogflow instead of just using straight to the code itself and trying to interpret it what it is a much easier. We had an application. Oh my god, this application. There's been one of these days I'm gonna do a video about this, because it was one of these ones that it took way longer than it should have. My thing with the developers was, we want to use this. I said, let's use Dialogflow. They didn't. Everything was they just used Android voice recognition, which relied on it getting exactly right. Whereas Dialogflow had it. If we use Dialogflow, we could put a lot of stuff in there, and it's constantly learning because it's server based as opposed to on the phone itself. So we went that other way, and they just it did not turn out very well. So if I was going to do a voice recognition application again, I would definitely use Dialogflow as the intermediary between it. I mean, and you could use, you could even use it, because you don't have to use it through Google. You can even use it through iOS. Whereas if you say something and you take that voice, you send it through the Dialogflow natural voice, the NLP, natural language processing thing, and it will come back, and basically divert to wherever you want it to go. I mean, you have a Node.js backend for it and everything like that. You would probably need an OK Google API if that exists. Yeah, I don't know. That's one of the things we did have trouble, because that's what they wanted to do, was they wanted to have it so you said a keyword and then the phone would just pick it up. But imagine if you had that, then you could just code anything that would listen for anything. So I think having that that kind of thing would be a lot difficult. But it used to be. I don't think it's still live, but I did do a Overpass apps Google Play. Actually, Hey Google. I don't know if it still works, but it used to be like talk to Overpass apps, and it would just basically take you right there. So I had that there. Talk to Overpass apps. So yeah, it's not even on there anymore. But that's basically what you do. You could just go through and register it that way. Let's see. Do you use pay subscription? Pay subscription. Are we talking about for? Are we talking about through Dialogflow? No, I just did like the free one. Basically it was, yeah, there was nothing there that I had to pay for. I think when I was using you could use like a Node.js backend, but I was using I was just using I was using Node.js for one of them, and another one I was using just a Firestore functions. Sorry, Firebase functions. And you know, so, and that was pretty easy to set up, and really it was so easy to set up, which you could just go through and I forget, I did a video on it, which because it's been like a while. Like I was really excited about it for a while, and then I'm thinking, is it really, like I can't see a good way to monetize it, and I've kind of just like lost interest in the whole voice activation thing, because I mean I use it a lot in the flat here, but it's like, you know, I mean, how good is it really? It doesn't seem to work as well as I hoped it would. So you know, like how often have you said something to the Google Assistant or to the Alexa thing and have it actually know what you're saying the first time? It's like maybe it's like 70% accuracy, and that's being, you know, generous. But
Sorry, I don't know that.
shut up. So that was the speaker. Anyway, so anyway, that was it. That seems like the last question. We're gonna finish off this live stream. I don't know if we'll do one next week. We'll try. But you know, getting towards the end of the year. I hope you. Thanks everybody who's shown up. I know it's you know, the channel has not had a lot going through it except for the shorts lately. So I appreciate all you guys who show up on the Mondays. It's really nice to see you. And hope you have a great week ahead. Stay healthy and stay safe. And I'll talk to you again next time.